Hey guys, it's me, just coming to you from Mount Rushmore here in South Dakota in the Black Hills, and it is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous day. And I got here a little bit early, so kind of got a spot here to do this video. And I really wanted to find a spot to do this video in a place that would exemplify what I've done. Traveled the country, traveled the western part of the United States free, and I did it in order to help with me to get my mind right, that sort of thing. And secondly, to cover those 50 states that are part of our union, and I accomplished that goal. So I'm 3/4 of the way done. I'm going to head to Washington Springs and hang out with a good friend of mine, Felipe Campos, and his wife Sue, and his daughter Sarah. We met years ago, probably, oh my, I bet it's been, well, I know it's been probably 30 plus years. He was with the Goshen Police Department. I was with the Indiana State Police, as you know. And we become friends and actually worked together for a long time there. And then he retired and moved to South Dakota. So I'm going to stop and spend some time with him. Amy's going to fly into Sioux Falls and Caitlin, and we're going to have a long weekend over the 4th, and hopefully be able to do some fun things. I know that I can't wait for them two to come in and to join me. So I wanted to really just talk about a little bit about the freedoms that we have here in this country, and I couldn't have thought of a better place to do it. I ran around my head like forever. I drove from around Estes Park area all the way over to here and saw some of the most beautiful parts of our country, and it's all prairie, rolling hills and prairie. And I kept thinking, I wondered, okay, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? And I think what it boils down to is this, is I had to do this journey in order for me to find inner peace. I really did. I gave you some history and part of my health situation and how I overcame that, and I talked about earlier about maybe talking a little bit about my earlier life and what I overcame there. And I think I might do a little bit of that, not a lot, but kind of a I told you I grew up on a farm. I grew up with my grandfather and my grandmother on a farm. My mom and dad, they were divorced when I was 2 years old. So my mother, God bless her, she had to go into Indianapolis to find work, and she did. And she would come back on the weekends, and we'd hang out and that. But my grandfather on the farm, pretty much, we learned how to work. Our work ethic was extraordinary because of the fact that we had so much to do. And he pretty much was a disciplinarian, to say the least. And I spent a lot of time doing chores and working on the farm. It started out when I was really young. We had a Ford Ferguson tractor, and I remember I was probably 5, and as you guys know, the clutch is on the floorboard, so I could stand up and put weight on the clutch and pull up on the steering wheel and get it up far enough to be able to get it in the gear. And that was my job, was to deliver steel milk cans back to the hogs, probably about 200 yards back a lane, and dump those milk cans into water troughs. And I do that every day, twice a day, not to mention the feeding the cattle and stuff. And that didn't come, honestly, until I was a little older, like 7. So I worked from there quite a bit. We did a lot. And to say that, there's 2 things I want to say about that. One is that he was rough. He was tough on me, and he always would say, you're going to make a man out of you. I'm going to make a man out of it. Well, he did. He did that part. The second part I want to say is that he taught me a lot of stuff. He taught me a lot of things. I can do just about anything. I mean, you guys know that from farm life, is you become very handy at mechanics and all kinds of things. And I hold credit to him for that. For the disciplinary part and the work stuff, I had a hard time. I had a struggle with that. And at 16, I moved out, and my mom remarried, and I moved in with her. Same location, just in Arcadia, just probably 7 miles away, and lived there. I went to high school, and I was a marginal student, wasn't real spectacular. I really couldn't study at my grandfather's because I couldn't bring any books home. I didn't have time to read them, so most of my stuff was done in study hall. And then when I went to live with my mother, I kind of picked up on the studies, and that helped out a bunch. But after graduation from high school, I attended Anderson College. Didn't go long. From there, went to the Air Force, and I think back on that I may have made a career out of that, and that may have been what I should have done. But now that I look at it today, and about that decision, I'm glad I didn't. I wouldn't have had an opportunity to be with my best friend Amy, my loving wife, and we wouldn't have Caitlin, and so that decision was clear and good. Started working with the state police then after that, and that was a love-hate relationship. It really was. I was stationed at Pendleton Post, and needless to say, there was, and I don't use this word often, and I don't use it as a crutch, but there was a considerable amount of racism there from 3 or 4 of the police officers there. I won't mention any names, but they would do stuff like pin coontails on my antenna on my car, and put empty barbecue ribs, styrofoam packs in my mailbox, and paint, or not paint, but put photocopies of an African American individual naked on paint, pin taped to my windshield and my windows, painting my tires, white walls. One sergeant in particular would ask me, what kind of car is that? I'd say, that's a Buick. He'd say, a Buick? I said, no, Buick. And he would reach in his pocket and pull out change and ask me how much change was in his hand, and I'd tell him, and he'd say, you sure it ain't 50 cent? 50 cent? Like that, on and on and on, just at any given time. Actually, he introduced me to a guy that lived in that area, and he introduced me as Trooper Tom Ferguson, and he's got human blood in him. So he's pretty good. So that kind of set the tone for that whole engagement there for the time that I was there, to a point where I was always able to do the work that they wanted me to do, but it was on a part-time basis. It never was full-time. And anytime I applied for a position as a detective, I never would get that spot. So I left. I quit and I left. I was frustrated and defeated, and I left. And I went to work for General Indicator Corporation, a sign manufacturing company. And I was a foreman supervisor there, and shipping and receiving foreman, and made money. I mean, made real good money. I think I made about $17,500 more than I did as a trooper, because you know how much us public servants are paid. And one day, a friend of mine from the department, he called and said, hey, you need to come back. You need to get back here. That's where you belong. So I reapplied. Even at that point, when I reapplied, they made me go back through recruit school, and there was a guy that applied the same time I did, and he went to Indianapolis Post, and he rode around for 6 weeks, a trooper trainer, and they gave him a car, and I had to go back through recruit school and back through the whole thing. But I made my mind up that I was determined to complete that. I was determined not to let them get me down the second time. I was determined to retire and get my pension, and I did. But along the way, through promotions and that department, I think that department tarnished me pretty bad. And along the way, as I got promoted and moved up the ladder, and I think that's what you're supposed to do, right? I got promoted, moved up the ladder. Still, you still face the same situations, same issues. Once I was promoted to captain and went downtown, that last year was a struggle. And when I retired, I had a severe case of anxiety, severe case of PTSD. I was a mess. I really was. I was a mess. And Amy helped me through that, and Caitlin, as I told you. But I hated everything. I hated everything. I hated everybody. I was pissed off at the world, and didn't do any good for me. I eventually ended up going to the Vineyard Church and meeting people that I had prayed for previously to meet. I prayed to God to give me peace, to let this go, and to meet people that are like-minded people. And I found that along this journey too. I found a lot of like-minded folks that nice people. I really have, and that has helped me too. I honestly can say that I have let go of a lot of I guess you call them demons. And when I say that, I mean that. I'm not saying it just because it's something to say. I'm saying for a fact that there is a blue-eyed demon and there's a red-eyed demon that lived in my life. And it was front and foremost when I had surgery. And it may have been the fentanyl and the drugs and that, but there's a red-eyed demon that came at me and still comes at me, that provokes me and keeps me, wants me to stay in that mindset of hate. And some people can say it's the devil, it's whatever, but I see it in my mind, I see it in my eye, and the blue-eyed demon is there to help me, to comfort me, and to let me release some of that. And that's the God's truth. I've lived with those two for a long time. All the way back to my undercover days when I was doing things like murder for hire and doing search warrants and finding fetuses in a duffel bag under a bed, and working nonstop and calling family services to take kids out of families and to do stuff like that. So I can tell you there's a red-eyed demon out there. I'm trying to get rid of that, and hopefully that with all that comes, I'll be able to overcome that, and I have, and this has helped me immensely to do that. And I think it's the fact that I just want to let go of it. I want to be free. I want to be free of that, because I'm running out of summers, and I'm on the downhill slide of those summers being less and less and less. And while I'm here, I want to enjoy every one of them. I say this, and not in a pity form or fashion, but I say it in order for you to understand me and those photographs. And when I talk about the beauty of this country, when I talk about the things I talk about, that it's coming from somebody that really, really appreciates it. I can honestly say I love this country. I love what it stands for. And I will say this about that. I overcome a lot to be here today. And anybody who says they can't, or they hate this country, or this country's all racist and it's this and it's that, I experienced all that, folks. Come on now. I experienced it. My job, I experienced it in life, but I let it go. I internalized it, is what I should say. And I was just fuming inside. On the outside, it appeared that everything's fine and everything's dandy. On the inside, I'm fuming. So I guess what I'm saying is this journey has helped clean me out internally. I can say 2-3/4 of the way through it, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, utmost admiration for Amy. My God, she has been a rock for me. She has been, I just don't even have the words to describe what she has done for me along the way and how she's helped me and that. And Caitlin, the same thing. My mom, those family members that are close, that I'm close to, they've helped me. And if this helps inspire anybody, that's what it's about. And like I said, I'm not afraid to put my dirty laundry out there in the street. I'm really not, because it's no secret. It's something I went through, something I'm trying to change, and I'm on the forefront of doing that. So I just want to pass that on to you guys. You got some kids over there making some healthy noise, but I just want to pass it on to you guys and let you know that this is a great country, and God is a good God always. And it all depends on how you want to do it and what you want to do and how you want to go about your business to make it worth that voyage. Just do what you do. Be a loving, kind person. Try to keep that in mind, family-wise, friend-wise, and maintain that wholehearted feeling of love for others. I I'm going to work on this change. I'm going to work on exactly what I've said and what I've said. I'm going to put it into practice, and I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let all that go. I'm going to let that blue-eyed demon stomp that red-eyed demon and be done with him. So I hope that this wasn't too long and too sensitive for some folks. Again, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, and thank each and every one of you for being there, and I love you. I truly do, and I appreciate you, and I hope that what I've done these last 60 some days have helped you. It's helped me, and for that I thank God.